Christie Sides, the head coach of the Fever, she should be fired. They've turned this Caitlin Clark to the WNBA into the Fire Festival 2.0, and there has to be a firing squad for this level of incompetence.
Christie Sides is under fire once again after her Indiana Fever team squandered a 10-point lead, igniting a heated discussion about her coaching choices. This situation comes on the heels of Caitlin Clark's impressive feat of breaking the record for the most games in a season with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 three-pointers, despite the Fever's 98-88 defeat against the Minnesota Lynx.
The coach is in over her head as well. A white woman trying to coach Caitlin Clark in the WNBA with a predominantly black woman roster, that's a match made in hell. I think they got to have a black male coach. They got to find a Mark Jackson, someone like that, to coach that team. He can go in there and tell them hey, look, this is the way we're playing. We got Caitlin Clark here. This is what we got to do. Call me racist all you want. Call me sexist, whatever. But we're going to call me an Uncle Tom. I don't care. We're going to play through Caitlin Clark. We're going to play a way that makes sense for her.
While Caitlin Clark's performance underscores her importance to the team, the loss raises doubts about the effectiveness of Christie Sides' coaching methods. The Fever's recent games have been inconsistent, leading to growing frustration among fans regarding Sides' strategies.
There should be a firing squad. When this is over, this season's over, and they've blown the Caitlin Clark year one the way they're blowing it. And I know everybody, oh God, look at the attendance number, look at the TV rate. That ain't got nothing to do with them. Caitlin Clark's doing that all on her own. Adam Silver should be fired, the head of the NBA. Kathy Engelbert should be fired, the head of the WNBA. Christie Sides, the head coach of the Fever, she should be fired. Lynn Dunn, the general manager of the Fever, she should be fired. And the water boy, Bobby Boucher, or whoever the water boy, fire them all. They've turned this Caitlin Clark to the WNBA into the Fire Festival 2.0, and there has to be a firing squad for this level of incompetence. They're not handling Caitlin Clark like she's a prized possession, like she needs to be protected. They're leaving her out there for the woke mob, for Team Black, to try to undermine her confidence and distract her. This isn't about pamper. I saw Adam Silver on maybe I talked about this last week. Adam Silver gets asked a question about Caitlin Clark, and he basically says she's going to be tested and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hold on, man. When David Stern was running the NBA, they changed all the rules up to make it easier for Michael Jordan to be Michael Jordan.
One fan voiced strong criticism, saying Christie Sides doesn't deserve any apologies. She let her team down today. Terrible coaching. This highlights a rising discontent with her leadership, especially in crucial game moments. Sides has previously voiced her disappointment, stressing that effort isn't something that can be coached. She remarked, "You can't play in this league if you have to coach effort. It's just too hard," expressing her frustration over the team's lack of energy and focus during the game. It's a shame that Lexi Hull's incredible block is getting overshadowed because the refs called a foul on what was clearly a clean play. Why didn't Christie Sides challenge that call? It was obviously a good block. Had it not been for Christie Sides, who many are calling the worst coach in WNBA history, the Fever might have actually beaten the Lynx. When asked about how Caitlin Clark has been treated this season, Sides said, "I'm trying not to get fined," and mentioned she has been sending plays to the league for review.
We're just going to keep sending these possessions to the league and these plays, and hopefully they'll start, taking a better look at some of the things that we see happening or we think is happening. Just more happy that Caitlin handled it the way she did. It's tough, to keep getting hammered the way she does and to not get rewarded with free throws or, just a foul call. Like she's continuing to fight through that. And that's what, appreciate that from her. Really, really proud of her for doing that.
People are wondering what happened to Nalissa Smith. She was playing great last year, and now she seems to have vanished. The team needs to figure this out before the playoffs, as having her, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell working together could be a game changer. How many more leads will Christie Sides let slip away? The Fever have 3 All-Stars, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, but they almost lost a significant lead against the Atlanta Dream. Fans are getting anxious about the team's direction and Sides' decisions. Minnesota Minnesota really outplayed the Fever tonight. They made some smart adjustments, while Christie's sides kept tired players on the court, leading to a lot of one-on-one plays. It feels like the Indiana coaching staff is struggling to prepare the whole team effectively.
I did not like the fact that we gave up 45 points in the first 15 minutes of the game. Period. That was transition defense. We gave up 15 or 18 in transition defense. That cannot happen. That is a habit that we talk about daily. It was number one on our board before, the scout talk. It just can't happen, and I can't wait to be able to show them our lack of effort getting back in transition defense.
Honestly, it might be time to let Christie sides go. I want to see a game led by Caitlin Clark, not just any WNBA game. In the last match, there were moments that needed her attention, and she should have been more vocal with the refs. If she had shown some support for Clark, it might have helped to keep the team's spirits up and focused. The game was close, but it was still frustrating to watch. Our bench isn't strong enough, and Minnesota always capitalizes on that. Christie needs to step up her coaching strategy when facing them. I'm glad we made the playoffs, but we need to improve.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women on our league deserve the same amount of respect, so...
Watching sides see her team fall apart in the third quarter was tough. The players looked frustrated and lost their composure. It seems like sides takes one step forward and then 3 steps back. How hard is it to call timeouts and manage player rotations? While sides appreciates Clark's fiery attitude, she also knows it needs to be controlled. It reminds me of Diana Taurasi, sides said. We're working on keeping her cool during those heated moments.
Yeah, I think that's, she's just so passionate and so... She's just a hell of a, her competitive spirit is it reminds me of Diana Taurasi. She's that. And so when she is upset or mad, that's what we've been working on, trying to figure out how to get past those moments,
Thankfully, Clark didn't get a technical foul in that third quarter, which shows she's learning. After the game, Clark was asked if she ever wanted to be subbed out. She quickly said no, explaining, "I'm working on balancing my energy while playing at a good pace. I could probably go for another 40 minutes. It's not really my call. The coaches know what we need."
Playing defense. I think we can play better defense. 45 points is a lot. I think they're speeding us up a little bit. I think we can do a little bit better job at that. But overall, I think our defense. I thought we were really good. They're going to be a team that's going to make you move on the defensive end. So, got to play with energy. Got to know when we need to conserve our energy, rotate some bodies in. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good half for us.
This matchup was supposed to be exciting, especially with 2 MVP candidates on the court. But after getting blocked by Lynx star Nafisa Collier, Clark seemed to lose her focus. She stayed on the floor, staring at the rafters while the Lynx scored on the other end, pushing their lead to 10 points. Clark felt she was fouled, but no call was made, and the Fever's rough third quarter continued, ending with a 99-88 loss. That moment of frustration from Clark didn't decide the game, but it certainly didn't help.
I'm always going to make a case for my player. First and foremost, she's the most competitive human being I've ever met. I really compare her to Diana Taurasi. She's always looking to find ways to get better. How can I help the team? What can we do? She found her rhythm tonight. The timing for our players is getting better every game. So some of the ones that, some of the shots that, those passes that she was making early, we just weren't ready for them. Now that chemistry is there, that timing is there, and that's going to keep getting better.
I think I could have done a better job controlling my emotions, said Caitlin Clark, who finished with 25 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. It's clear she's fed up with the situation.
Successful, but her playmaking skills are just, that to me is what's so impressive. And it's just been so fun to be out on the court with Caitlin Clark and the things that she sees, her court vision and the passes that she makes. Sometimes you just have to pause and I just turn around. I'm just like, wow, just that a pass that she'll make, and we'll go over and look at it during the practice, with our video guy, just because we're like, wow, was that as special as we thought it was. And it is. So I think, like you said, reps has a huge part of that.
Christie Sides has just been recognized as Coach of the Month after leading the Indiana Fever to the playoffs for the first time since the Obama administration.
I think what makes Coach Christie so special is that she's just an open coach. She communicates a lot, and that's something that I enjoy, just being able to communicate, talk about anything, especially when it comes to basketball.
And honestly, she deserves it. Let's take a look at her reaction when she was congratulated on the show. It's a significant moment. Do I think she's the absolute best coach out there? Not exactly.
With Coach Sides, she's been awesome from the first day I met her. You know, she really emphasized how much they wanted me here, and I felt that love, felt that intensity, and she wants it more than anyone. And so I feel like I'm playing, you know, through her energy too. That picks me up every single day. It's exciting to play for her.
Team had a rough start with a 1-8 record, but she managed to rally them. Will she take them to a championship? I'm not so sure about that either.
Me and Christie's relationship has grown huge. You know, I could talk to Christie about anything. I can go sit in her office and we don't even have to talk about basketball. So I think that's huge, is just building that relationship with your coach, and I feel like I built that.
However, she's definitely a capable manager who builds strong connections with her players.
I was worried she was going to pick up a T in that third quarter, and thank goodness that she didn't. But that's growth, and she's got to learn that in those moments, I need my point guard to have a cool head, get us in whatever we need to be in offensively, and then, you know, if it's not a foul call that you thought, you got to get back. You know, you got to get back and transition and help our team get stops. So, you know, we're working on those things. That's what a young team, that's what you do, is you try to figure out, talk about these moments, watch them in video, show them where, you know, okay, this just can't happen because it caused this, and this. There's a reaction.
I'd love to see her continue as an assistant coach for whoever comes in next with championship potential. She truly deserves this recognition. Christie, I didn't think you had it in you, but you've proven me wrong.
Oh, man. It's been great, man. Like, we have heated conversations, we have honest conversations, but we also can go and have a glass of wine and just talk like regular friends, but also, like, we keep the main thing the main thing.
What a remarkable day. This isn't just for me, it's for my staff and all of you. This award belongs to everyone. Plus, this is a historic moment as it's the first time a coach from this franchise has received this honor, starting from the bottom, and look where we are now. This is what Christie Sides said. I totally agree. It's definitely well-deserved.
Christie, I mean, I'm so excited that she's here. I was so excited when she got here last year, and I feel like she's such a relationship coach. Really wants to get to know every player, and I feel like her and I can go and get dinner and have a real conversation about anything, and it's so awesome to be able to have that relationship with a coach that's not only about basketball, that she cares about us as people, cares about our futures, how we are feeling, and that's just so nice and so easy to buy in to a program when there's someone like that leading it.
With everything going on with the Fever, it looks like some coaches might actually lead their teams to losses, given how things are shaping up.
There were close games with the way that the Fever competed for 40 minutes and the way that Coach Sides is building a team that she wants to play and practice harder than everyone in the league. And I really do believe in what she's trying to do. And I think that was one of the biggest things going into being there and meeting with her is I felt like she fully is putting her whole heart and soul into this program and this team.
That's one of the tough spots for coaches. Sometimes they can accidentally guide their teams in the wrong direction. I'm still a bit on the fence about Christie Sides for the long haul, but she clearly has some impressive coaching talents that should be acknowledged. It's definitely a tough schedule ahead, but you know what? They've already surpassed what I expected, especially considering how I thought they'd play after the Olympic break. If you're Christie Sides, you've really earned this spotlight. Winning hasn't come easy, and anyone claiming they only faced weak teams is overlooking the bigger picture. Caitlin Clark has been on a roll, winning both Player of the Week and Player of the Month, plus Rookie of the Month. Coach Christie Sides also received Coach of the Month honors, and Kelsey Mitchell is set to make her playoff debut.
I felt like Kels probably should have got a little love. I honestly thought she probably should have been Player of the Month. Just what she was doing, and at the clip she was doing it, I think she was like 50, 40, 90 this month, which is really, really hard to do. So I feel very fortunate to play with her, and honestly, I'm not even trying to be corny. Like, I really think she deserved it. So I think sharing that with her, and I feel lucky to have, a kind of a backcourt mate that has been, through this for 7 years and has really helped me and kind of let me flourish, and same with Christie. And but at the same time, it is cool, and I think Christie has definitely allowed me to be myself and kind of figure out this team, figure out how to be successful, and hasn't really held me back from kind of what I did in college. Yes, sure, is breaking some habits and getting used to some things that you do differently professionally. But
Orianda Jacob, a popular influencer and marketer, recently appeared on Jason Whitlock's podcast Fearless. During their chat, she made an interesting comparison between Caitlin Clark, a rising star in women's basketball, and the famous pop star Taylor Swift.
She played against boys for much of her life growing up, and she figured out That's how I can get my shot off, is from deep. And then people suggested to her that she watch Pistol Pete YouTube videos. So she did that as a kid. And then she has grown up in the Steph era. I know he has been a huge influence and mentor of hers. I was able to catch up with Steph at an NBA game last week, and he sent me this really sweet shout out for Caitlin. And what he told me was he loves her game. He loves how fearless she plays. He loves her range, obviously, but he loves the poise with which she's carrying the kind of the weight of women's basketball on her shoulders so gracefully. And he said, I know what it's like to chase records and have these eyes and this pressure. And he said, I'm impressed the most with how she is carrying herself.
Jacob explained that she's cautious about criticizing Clark because of her passionate fan base, which she affectionately calls the Clarksies. In her words, Jacob remarked, Caitlin Clark is the Taylor Swift of women's sport.
Caitlin Clark is way better, way sooner than anybody thought. And if you think the players in this league are a little petty now, what's going to happen next year when she's maybe the best player in the league? And what's going to happen if she wins a playoff series? Remember, this is a young and ascending Indiana team. They have multiple former number one picks, none of them yet in their prime. This is the Taylor Swift Fearless Tour. She was a star. She won the megastar. She is now, outside of A'ja Wilson, she's in an argument for the second most valuable and important player in the league. You know, player of the month. Before the All-Star game, she's averaging 17 a game. But remember, in the WNBA, you play college basketball, you get very little time off, and you go right into camp. She finally got a break. She is a completely different player after the All-Star game.
We do not mess with Taylor Swift. We do not mess with Caitlin Clark, because the Swifties will come for you. The Clarksies, or whatever you want to call them, will come for you.
Apparently, all the accolades that Caitlin Clark is receiving is because she's white, and the jealous players who are attacking her are really the real victims here.
Cheryl Swope says she's lighting herself on fire, Steve. They had to pull her off a game because she can't be trusted to call Caitlin Clark games correctly or fairly. They basically pulled her off the game for racism. You're too much of a bigot to call Caitlin Clark games. We're pulling you off the game.
What a complicated situation we find ourselves in when some choose to act out of racism and show disdain for Caitlin Clark, especially now that Cheryl Swoops is absent from today's broadcast.
Now, she made news last week when she sat up there and was applauding Indiana Fever players, but then forgot to mention Caitlin Clark. She jumped all in my ass because I sat up there and said, hey, how you going to ignore Caitlin Clark?
She has been taken off the Dallas Wings Indiana Fever game, as we know. We could list all of Cheryl Swoop's accomplishments, but just last week, she was in a heated exchange with Stephen A. Smith, who called her out for not acknowledging Caitlin Clark when discussing the Fever.
You know what she brings to the table. How you just going to ignore her? That's not an accident. Cheryl Swoops is a champion. A champion. Look at her tweet and what she put up about me. You talk about whomever and whatever you want to on your podcast, correct? So why can't I? Also, did you listen to the entire episode? Nope. I have a personal relationship with these players, and they deserve recognition as well. That ain't the point, Cheryl Swoops. Yes, I did listen to your entire podcast. You didn't mention Caitlin Clark.
It was absurd. She mentioned every player on the roster except Clark. Recently, we also had the incident involving Diamond D. Shields, which Swoops defended.
Hey, you be studying my arms? I think at times, I'm small, but I try to hold my own the best I can.